You've built your Revit model, you've added notes and annotation, you've even added a detail or two. Now it's time to prepare your file for output. The most common way to output a file in Revit and any other program is to simply print it. You can certainly print directly from any view you happen to have open on screen, and you can even plot several at one time. However, a more professional way to print is to prepare sheets for your project. And since sheets are often going to be required by most projects anyhow, then it seems like the appropriate way to do it. So I'm in a project called Adding Sheets, and I'm just looking at a first floor plan. Now, if you recall, back at the beginning of this training series, we started this project with the commercial default Revit template. The commercial default Revit template actually included several pre-made sheets. So if I scroll down here on the project browser and look at the sheets branch of the tree, you'll see that there's already an A1 floor plans, an A2 reflected ceiling plans, there's a roof plan, elevations, and so on. So many sheets are already provided in here. And if I go ahead and open up one of these, like the A1 floor plans, you can see that there's already viewports on some of these sheets, and what we've been doing all along throughout the training series has already been kind of on the sheet and ready to go. So what's nice about starting with a template like that, we kind of bring everything full circle from the beginning of the training series, is when you get to the point when you're ready to actually output, you don't have to spend a ton of time building an entire document set. You already kind of have most of the work done for you. Now, I'm saying most because it's unlikely that it will be perfect. It's pretty typical that you'll have to go in and make some modifications. But again, it's pretty nice to have this much to get started with. So you can see we've got our first floor and our second floor on here. We've got a sheet with reflected ceiling plans. We've got a sheet with a roof plan, and so on. Now, perhaps there might be a sheet or two that's missing that you haven't planned for. For example, earlier in the training series, we added a furniture plan, we added a power plan, and these might not have sheets readily available. We added some building sections, whatever it might be. So let's go ahead and add in some sheets for some of these missing items. So to add a single sheet, it's a pretty easy affair. We can just right-click on the Sheets branch of the project browser, click the New Sheet item, and we'll get the New Sheet dialog that comes up. Now, this particular project has two title blocks already loaded, a B size and an E size. If you don't see the title block that you want, or if you want to use your Office standard title block, you could click Load and go out and browse and load the family like you can any other family. I'm just going to go ahead and choose the E1 sheet that came from Autodesk, like the ones we have in the rest of the document set here, and click OK. And that just gives me a blank sheet of paper. Now, like anything else that gets numbered in Revit, let's go ahead and zoom in on the title block here. Revit will go ahead and just use the last number available based on the list of sheets we already have. So this one is going to be A14. And if I wanted this to be maybe E1, because it's electrical, or power plan, or let's do P1, because it's a power plan, I could just simply type P1 there. And that will update not only here on the sheet, but if I scroll down and look at my list, you'll see that it updates there in the project browser as well. So instead of unnamed, let's do the same thing. And we'll make this power plan. Now, other information gets filled in here, like the project number, the issue date, and so forth. So we could put in a date here. I'll put in something for the summer of 2010. I'm the author, so I'll put my initials and whatever other information we need to fill in there. Now, scale is not something we need to fill in. As soon as we drag in the file that we want to place on this sheet, the scale will automatically fill itself in. So let me zoom back out. And let's go ahead and add our plan to the sheet. So I'm going to scroll back up and locate my level 1 power plan. All you have to do is from the project browser, grab that level 1 power plan and drag it, and then drop anywhere on the sheet, and you'll get this rectangle attached to your cursor, and then you just click where you want it to go. And just like that, you'll have your power plan appearing on the sheet. And if I do a zoom in region, we can take a little better look. And you can see that it looks exactly the way we left it, with the halftone furniture and the power symbol showing and so on. So while we're here on the sheet, let me just point out another thing for you. I'm going to go over and do a zoom in region just around these callouts. And you'll notice with the section callouts, we've got section 1, section 2, and section 3, and they're all calling out sheet A6. If I come down here on the project browser, scroll down and locate sheet A6, you can see that there's your 1, 2, and 3 sections all on this sheet. So all of your references kind of take care of themselves, and Revit handles all the cross-coordination between those different sheets for you. Now, one other thing that might be nice to have here, since we have a fairly large collection of sheets, is let's go ahead and do a sheet index of the sheets we have, and we can place that on one of our sheets as sort of an index or a table of contents. So I'm going to go to the View tab, and then on the View tab beneath Schedules, we have two kinds of lists that we can create. A view list is a list of all the views on the project browser. A sheet list is an actual list of the actual sheets, the drawings that we're going to print from. So this is the one we want. This is the sheet index that we're going to create here. Now, it looks a lot like a schedule because in fact it is. It's just a schedule of sheets. So we're going to keep this one fairly simple. And I'm just going to do sheet number and sheet name. And I'm going to click OK. And expand this out a little bit. You can see all the different sheets listed. And there they all are. Now, it looks like they're all sorting correctly, when in fact, that's just sort of the order they were created in. It's a little tricky to get them to sort exactly correctly without getting into some custom parameters. In other words, I can sort alphabetically in Revit. So I can get all the A's grouped together, but then it'll do C next and the S and the P. Well, technically speaking, a C really ought to come before the A's. The civil plans always come before the architectural. To get that kind of a sorting to happen, we would need to get into custom parameters. So I just kind of want to mention that to you. It's a pretty good chance that most of your firms, your CAD manager or other support person has taken care of this for your project template. So let's go ahead and take this sheet list as is, and we'll drag it on one of our sheets. I'm going to just put it on the first floor plan right now. So we'll go back to that plan, zoom to fit, and then we'll locate our sheet list, which will be under Schedules and Quantities. Here it is right here. And we'll drag it in here. Now, this is the first time we put a schedule on a sheet. This still kind of intrigues me that Revit handles it this way. You notice how I resized the columns when we were looking at the view, but then when you drag it to the sheet, they always kind of squish up really mini like this. Well, we have these little grips right here, and we can just kind of drag it out to give it a little bit more room. So there we go. We have our sheet index and our new sheet. In the next movie, we'll actually create a list of sheets from placeholders